On today's show, we'll look back at last night's 2-0 loss to the Boston Bruins and wonder just how can the Sens get their top players scoring?
And we'll take a look at the games this weekend, a Battle of Ontario and hosting the Utah Hockey Club.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome! You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first ticket purchase. That's sports, comedy, theater, and more. Get your tickets on Game Time. Promo code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Terms do apply. Today is Friday, January 24th, and Pilsy, in 2 games this week so far, the Ottawa Senators have scored as many goals as you and me.
Oh, man, I can't believe that these offensive woes are hitting so hard in these crucial games, Ross. We talked about how big that game up against the Rangers was, and then it was amplified even more how big that game up against the Boston Bruins was, and it's our old pal, Eunice Corpusalo, getting the last laugh, shutting out the Senators, and that one hurts a little bit more, especially, Ross, when it's the Boston Bruins that take that spot in the 3rd place in the Atlantic Division, and the Ottawa Senators now sit outside of a wild card spot.
And we're not saying they're dead. We're not saying that this is the season and it's over, but there are serious concerns about the offense. Our good friend Mike Kelly from Sport Logique tweeting out today that you can go all the way back to November 1st. I know, the worst day in Sens history. Happy birthday, Mom, November 1st. But since then, Ottawa ranks last in goals per game. Last. That's below Chicago. That's below Nashville, San Jose, all the bad teams in the league. Ottawa's dead last in goals per game. How do you fix it? That's the real question here, and we'll get to that in the next segment. But your thoughts on last night's game, Pilsy, because, look, they got close. They actually did score a goal. It got waved off because of a quick whistle. You're not going to get all of those, and they did have luck 2 Saturdays ago getting an exact goal like that by the same player, Tim Stützle, where the puck scoots past the goaltender. I've just never heard that quick of a whistle. And if I'm the ref, look, I know you have to just blow it dead when you don't see the puck. But when you have a goalie who is known for having some of the worst rebound control in the National Hockey League, and earlier in the second period, twice he made saves and looked behind him because he had no clue where the puck was, I think you might have to give it an extra half second. It gave me way too clear flashbacks to the Game 6 against Montreal in 2015. Where Jean-Gabriel Pageau poked the puck in. They got shut out in that game. They allowed an empty netter in that game, and it cost them big time.
And Ross, that one was tough because it wasn't like it was in his pads and tough to see. It was right there. Like, it was clearly not covered and available, and Tim Stützle saw it and jumped on it, and man, what a momentum boost that would have been. Not only Tim Stützle scoring, we need him to get going, but finally getting a goal on the power play. I just think that would have been such a boost. And what was it? Was it 1-0 at that point in the game? Oh, yeah.
Well,
so you tie that up, and this game looks a whole lot different. So that one really hurts, Ross. And it's not one of those where it was questionable. Like, it was clear the puck was there. And like, Timmy doesn't charge like that if he just thinks it's in his pads and it's covered, right? So I think that's where the ref kind of has to give benefit of the doubt there. But
and you see him charge the way he did. Like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, like, he wouldn't do that if the puck wasn't visible. Like, you go to the net and you try to see if there's something there. But Tim Stützle was on that like crazy as soon as he realizes it's available. So, oh man, that's one that would have been such a game changer for the Sens.
On watching it the first time, I didn't see the puck loose. I'll hand up, but I'm not reffing the game on TV from my couch. But I will say, I thought he got cross-checked from behind the way he flattened right into the crease. But yeah, he's poking that in, and unfortunately no goal. But what was the more egregious play from last night? That or Brad Marchand taking his glove off and literally choking Nick Cousins in the first period.
I can't believe that like, how is that allowed and not a penalty? Especially, Ross, like, it's one thing to take your glove and give the guy a bit of a face wash, like whatever. But this was a thought out move by Marchand. He's like, well, I'm not going to be able to grab his neck as much as I want if I keep my glove on. So I'm going to take my glove off so I have a better opportunity to grab a player by the throat and choke him. And the ref's like, no, that's
play on.
That's fair. That's a hockey play right there. Like, only Brad Marchand gets away with that, and it's just ridiculous. And then I think after, or I don't know if it was the same play, Ross, but Marchand accused Cousins of diving later, and it's like, buddy, like, you can't be out there choking guys out with a bare palm and accuse guys of diving at the same time. Like, it's just, I don't know how that is not called roughing, unsportsmanlike, choking. Is there a choking penalty in hockey? I'm not sure, but that is
I think that's just the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Nice. Yeah, they don't get calls for that though.
No, they don't. They get a golf ticket after 7 games every spring. Yeah. That's what they get. But with Brad Marchand, I mean, I love the rivalry him and Nick Cousins seem to have. It seems personal, but you cannot choke. It's Happy Gilmore vibes of he's the only guy to take his skate off and try to stab someone. Like, I'm the only guy who take my glove off and literally try to choke you out at the bench. Were you surprised Nick Cousins didn't like do anything about it?
Yeah, it was, the reaction was a little bit surprising, but he did kind of look at the refs and was like, "What the heck is that?" But I mean, it's 2 rats fighting in an alleyway at midnight by the dumpster. Ross Marchand and Nick Cousins. So I guess it's just not a big deal for either one of those for that play to happen.
Yeah, exactly. A rat meets a weasel, and that's what you get in the end. Now, I'm pretty disgusted as well that we haven't updated the Senators' points leader since the win on Sunday over the New Jersey Devils, and it went from bad to worse because Jake Sanderson didn't play last night. Travis Green, after the game, we played it on the postcast, said that he was hopeful that Sanderson would play. Clearly, he's battling something. And Nick Jensen is definitely battling something. How many maintenance games has this guy had in the last little while? So it's interesting, though. Those are defensive players who are hurt, but it's the offense that's a complete black hole right now. Sure, Josh Norris is out. Last night was the first game he missed, though. I know he's out for most of the Rangers game, but still, like, I put these guys on the milk carton at the end of the postcast, but Tim Stützle, Brady Tkachuk, Claude Giroux, Drake Batherson, those guys need to get it going and fast, because that game on Saturday against the Toronto Maple Leafs, Glebe Central Pub Shuttle will be running for that game. We want to see Sens fans in the building. That could be a game against Columbus, and if it started poorly, the crowd is going to get on the Ottawa Senators offense. But to make it a game against the Leafs, like, we'll preview it at the end, but if you don't come out and score in the first period, that's going to be a really toxic environment at the CTC.
Oh, it's going to be brutal. And Ross, I said that the Rangers beating down the Sens, I tried to spin it to a positive, like, hey, if you're going to lose, at least get embarrassed so that at least you're upset about it and come out with a fiery passion the next game. Yeah, Sonk, that doesn't happen. And they get blanked again in Boston.
And they got outshot 7-2 in the first 5 minutes of the game. Like, that was a wasted, amazing performance from Anton Forsberg.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, it was cool and hot in the streets to dunk on Forsberg. Well, that's just unacceptable anymore. Like, he's been good the last couple times he's played. Yeah, his starts. We'll give him his starts. No one was good against the Rangers.
No.
But where is it going? Oh yeah, and then they lay an egg up against Boston again. So I am once again asking the Ottawa Senators to wake up and show some passion up against the Toronto Maple Leafs at home at the CTC, the Battle of Ontario. You just had 2 stinkers in a row. Like, there's no way this team comes out flat for a 3rd straight game, especially when the 2 other games were so important as far as standings goes. And now this is your top rivalry game. And it's Saturday night, hockey night in Canada. Like, this is the primetime matchup. I just if they don't show emotion and come out flying in this one, Ross, I'm looking at the panic button on my desk, and it might be time because like they're like I don't if these 3 games in a row don't get you fired up and don't give you a boost momentum wise to play harder and to start scoring goals and get pucks on net, then I don't know what will.
I don't either, man. But they need to figure it out in a hurry because 5 times being shut out in the last 11 games has me pulling up a tab on my computer. The most times the team has been shut out in a season. Ottawa is up to 6 times being shut out. They do lead the league in shutouts themselves with 7, but being shut out 6 times is just not good enough. That is awful. It's not the worst, though. Could be worse. Could be the 06-07 Columbus Blue Jackets who hold the modern day record. They were shut out 16 times in 42 losses during the 2006-2007 season. But that's neither here nor there. I can finally close that tab, get that stat out of my system. It's also the second time the Senators have been shut out 5 times in a month. The last time, December of 2017, Pillsy, maybe the worst month in franchise history.
That was you can
Wheels
put
fell
that
off
on the map of Ottawa Senators franchise history of when it's just been a downward spiral.
Yeah, well, hey, maybe
and here we are again.
Maybe it's full circle, buddy, right? Like maybe it's, hey, you needed to reignite the past.
I don't know.
I'm pulling it up. Yeah, they got shut out in back-to-back games, 3 out of 4 games as well back then, and it wasn't good. But you know what? The last one was a 5-0 loss against Boston. So maybe shut out against Boston. What'd they do the next game? Oh, they lost 2-1 in overtime to Detroit. So,
hey, they score a goal and get a point, Ross.
Oh, my goodness. Then they scored 6 in each of the next 2 games after that, and then lost 8-2 to Chicago. Classic Chicago game.
Was that in Chicago?
No, it was in Ottawa.
Oh, God.
There. But yeah, the Sens need to get going. There's no doubt about that. Sounds like the injuries are mounting. No practice, full day off for the Ottawa Senators. I know some people are hating on it. They've played so much hockey, and they have a back-to-back this weekend. It's going to be 3 games in 4 nights, and they're in the midst of 12 games in 20 days. Like, this is an outrageous bit of hockey. So I'm not going to get up in arms. They better have a morning skate, though, tomorrow.
Well, yeah, they definitely will, Ross. But I like, let's hit the film room for the power play at the very least. Like, you get shut out back-to-back games. Let's try to figure something out. I get the point. They're tired and they're banged up, but we got to do something here.
You want to talk about the power play? We'll do that next.
Great.
You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. You guys know that Game Time is the best spot to get tickets to live events, whether it's sports, music, theater, or comedy. Now Game Time has made it even easier to get tickets for your favorite events with their new feature, Game Time Picks. This feature filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you're not wasting your time searching through thousands of tickets you don't even want. I use the Game Time app to get tickets to the Ottawa Senators versus Tampa Bay Lightning in a couple weeks. I'm stoked for that one. And with Game Time Picks, I found an amazing deal. And I'd never been to that barn before, so I wanted to see the view from my seat. And I was able to do that right on the app. And I hate surprise fees at checkout, so I turned on the all-in pricing feature, and that shows you the total cost up front, so there's no surprises when you get to checkout. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? It's game time.
Today's episode is also brought to you by the Glebe Central Pub. It's time to get your tickets to the Glebe Central Pub shuttle going to and from the CTC tomorrow night for the Senators and Toronto Maple Leafs matchup. Leave your keys at home and get to the GCP at 779 Bank Street. The bus leaves an hour and 15 minutes before the game. Sue has pedal to the metal and will succeed at getting you there right in time for warm-up. She's always knows the back roads and how to get there in one piece. You then get picked up right where you get dropped off 15 minutes after the game, and they take you right back to the pub where they've got live music like they do every Saturday night. You will see the LA Cats. Nice play on the Alley Cats. The LA Cats will be providing live music at the Glebe Central Pub this Saturday night. Also, make sure to tell them that Locked On Senators sent you on Sens game days. Tell your server that Locked On Senators sent you, and you get 10% off your bill. That is fantastic game day success at the GCP. So head to where the vibes are free. That's the Glebe Central Pub, our pub in the heart of the Glebe. Let them know that Locked On Senators sent you, and go have a good time at your neighborhood pub. They're great people, local establishment, so go check them out today at the Glebe Central Pub. All right, Pillsy. So the Ottawa Senators are shut out 2-0 by the Boston Bruins, and even worse, they're shut out 2-0 by Joonas Korpisalo, who had more shutouts last night than he did in 49 starts with the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to tell you he's been playing better this season, Ross. But I think like Joonas Korpisalo as a backup or a 1B could make sense. It's just the fact that the Ottawa Senators tried to make him a 1A or a number one starter, and that was just doomed from the start.
Yeah, I still didn't think he played that great last night. Like a lot, like athletic for sure. He's kicking out the pads, but like every shot, I still felt like had a chance of going in. The rebounds were extremely active. Ottawa just could not take advantage. That 5-on-3, like they're just passing the puck, no urgency at all. They're just so content with going to that down low play. I know we're sounding like a broken record, but they're the jumping record that's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. It is driving me completely mad. Just get the puck on net. Get those wings that are on the top, like the flanks. Shoot the puck. Timmy on one side, and I think it was Batherson on the other. He kind of goes up and down from the net front, and it's like, just pop out and shoot the damn thing. Why not?
Yeah, nobody wants to shoot the puck. I feel like everybody wants to be the guy that makes that perfect pass to set up a shooter, but then that shooter wants to be the guy that makes another pass. Like, it's just crazy. They need a finisher.
They need a finisher so bad. And do they have one in-house? Are you going to try to rewire one of these players to shoot the puck? I hope so, because right now it is tough times for the Ottawa Senators, not able to score in back-to-back games, and they've been shut out more times. Like, what's worse, Billsy, being shut out 5 times this month or being shut out 3 times in the last 5 games?
3 times in the last 5 games like that. Like, for it to be consistently happening like that. And the Washington Capitals one, Ross, I'm not that upset about, because they end up taking it to overtime and the greatest goal scorer ever gets one on you. So, okay, that's fine. But yeah, the one up against the Rangers, and especially up against the Bruins and Korpisalo, that one hurts on a back-to-back. Like the Ottawa Senators, I think I saw the stat. They're going on like 163 minutes since their last goal. Like, wow.
Well, in their last 11 games, sorry, it's they shut out 5 times in their last 11 games. They're 5-4-2 somehow, which is wild. Out of their 6 losses, 2 of them in overtime, but obviously they're shut out in that one overtime loss. In their last 6 losses, they've been shut out 5 times. And in those 11 games, they've scored 20 goals. Okay? And they count the shootout goal as a goal, so I'll count it for this. Otherwise, no, let's just do 19. They've scored 19 goals because the shootout goal doesn't count, right? So they scored 19 goals in their last 11 games. 10 of them came in 2 games, the Pittsburgh and the Boston game.
Yeah, seriously. Oh, my God.
So they've scored 9 goals in their other 9 games. Come on. It has to change, and they are trying to juggle the lines. Last night, lots of line juggling, and the most common trio, Pillsy, and this will get us into the injury talk, is the one guy who's back. David Perron played the most minutes. He started the game on the third line, but he played the most minutes with Stützle and Batherson. When they were on the ice at 5-on-5, they played 5 minutes and 40 seconds. The shot attempts were 15-7 in favor of Ottawa. The expected goal, 61.6%. Is that a trio you'd like to see against the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Yeah, absolutely, Ross. That's what we kind of been talking about, that trying to find that sixth forward. And internally, David Perron was the guy designed to go there, in my opinion. Now, did I think in less than one game back from a back injury from an aging veteran, he would be put into a bigger role? No. I thought he was going to play on the third line for a couple of games, but desperate times call for desperate measures. And look, I'm not about to say that David Perron is the perfect fit and he's going to figure this out for the Ottawa Senators. 10 games, 0 points. But it's what you got to try, at least for now, in my opinion. So yeah, I want to see that. And we talked about it, Ross. This is a team where everybody's scared to shoot the puck. David Perron said it in his quote, "I don't play a complicated game. I get pucks on net." You had the stat where
he
shots
was
per 60, he was second. I said he has over 2,000 shots in his NHL career. Like, this guy needs to lead and be like, "Hey, I don't want to say the new guy coming in, because obviously he's been with the team for a couple months now, but getting back into this lineup, I'm going to be the guy that breaks that mold of everybody trying to be the pretty passer and nobody shooting it. And as soon as I get the puck on my stick, I'm just ripping it on net no matter what." So hopefully he's able to do that and they're able to find some success through him like that.
He did play the third fewest minutes among Sens forwards. He was just spot out put on that line with Stützle and Batherson. Ostapchuk only played 551, only played 10 shifts in this game. Gaudette played 10:01, and then it was David Perron with 11 minutes on the dot. So hopefully he has more of an impact now getting involved than, let's say, Michael Amadio, who's been completely invisible since coming back from his injury. He's been kind of relegated to more of a bottom six role. Not that he wasn't in there before, but he's been a kind of a black hole. But again, these are more minuscule problems than what we led today's show with. The top guys, Stützle, Batherson, Tkachuk, Giroux, those guys have to put the puck in the net. Pilsy, on the back end, no Jake Sanderson. That was a surprise, although he did take a big hit against New Jersey, probably battled it out against the Rangers. He's banged up. Nick Jensen, how many morning skates has this guy missed in practice for maintenance day? He's battling through it. Thomas Chabot, I was a bit harsh on Chabot last night. Couple bad giveaways that you just can't do, especially on the 5-on-4 after the first power play expired. He just did a drop pass in his own zone. Marchand intercepts it, and it's a 2-on-1 in tight the other way. They're lucky that didn't go in the back of the net. But he's also banged up. He's wearing the bubble. He's not at 100%. There's no way. And he's playing almost 30 minutes a night. So I do want to retract a little bit, because if you look at the decor right now, like Donovan Sabrango, Nicholas Matin-Palo, and Tyler Clevin, they've got combined less than 100 NHL games. That's half your decor. Then when Nick Jensen leaves midway through the game, then you're relying so heavily on Thomas Chabot to carry the load. Artem Zub, I didn't think he was that great. I thought it was a dumb penalty that he took on Charlie Coyle. I also think Chabot's penalty was dumb. He got run over in the neutral zone by Morgan Geekie, and like, he deserved to take that hit. Like, he kind of fell going into it, made it worse. Then he goes and retaliates and takes a penalty. They're lucky that Boston's power play is ice cold. Otherwise, they would have taken advantage of that. So offense not clicking is creating, I think, some extra frustration for this group. And it's costing them now with some discipline issues as well. So I don't know what you do. You kind of just hope. And one positive you can take out of this is Tyler Clevin is an NHLer. Like, he is elevating his play. He was our standout from our Boots on the Ground report, Jamie, FastAF_10 on Twitter.
And he was so close to a goal there, Ross. Batherson slides it over to him. He rips it on net. And Korpisalo, it hits the top edge lining of his glove and then rings off the post. Like, that would have been a nice one to have for him.
I know. It was really tough. Let us know in the comments how you would fix the Ottawa Senators offense. We're curious, whether it's on the power play or at even strength. But now it's time for a game day preview. If you're listening to this on Saturday, perfect timing for a Battle of Ontario. Senators have won 3 of their last 4. I think that's in Toronto, actually. But the Senators are 1-0 against the Leafs this year. That 3-0 victory in November. So you're hoping that you're going to be able to get 2 points, 2 huge points again against the Leafs on Saturday. Then they'll play Utah on Sunday. So let's preview the weekend. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. From the first whistle to the final drive, FanDuel makes the NFL playoffs even more exciting. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first bet. That's $300 to keep the action going. The FanDuel app is easy to navigate, and the variety of bets keeps every game exciting. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around for your winnings. Those green numbers are in your account ASAP. Whether you're betting on your favorite team or just looking to add some extra excitement to the playoffs, FanDuel has you covered. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $300 in bonus bets, guys. That's FanDuel.com. Make these playoffs unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, Pilsy. So, time to flush the Boston Bruins loss. Time to flush the New York Rangers loss. This is an enormous
How many flushings can we do, Ross? We're going to get clogged over here.
Well, toilet is shaped like a zero almost, so it's got the Sens offense all locked and loaded.
Yeah, too bad we're not playing the Habs, the toilet bowl logo.
Yeah. When do we play the Habs next? February 22nd, first game after the break.
Yeah.
But way too much hockey before then to even worry about the Habs, who, by the way, lost last night. I know people are interested in getting updates here as the standings are tight as ever. Senators currently fourth in the wild card race, really tied for third. Three-way tie now between the Rangers, Senators, and Habs. Rangers are 7-0-3 in their last 10 games. So they've got 17 points in the standings out of a possible 20 over their last 10 games. So they are flying up the standings. That makes me nervous, but Tampa's lost 2 in a row. Those games at the start of February that you're going to, Pilsy, Martian's going to be there too. Like those could tell us a lot about what this Ottawa Senators team is about. But we got to get to there first. Look, Columbus, they lose their last game last night too against Carolina. They were up big early as well. So right now, I mean, it's a complete traffic jam in the standings. You even have Boston now in that third spot in the Atlantic, but Ottawa still does have 2 games in hand on Boston, so they do lead them in points percentage. So that's where you can kind of take a little bit of solace. Ottawa's actually third in the Atlantic Division in points percentage. So considering they're last in the league in goals for per game since November 1st, they're right in the mix. So don't take this frustration as Ottawa being out of it. It's over. This is meaningful games. The more you play, the higher the wins and the lower the losses. And it was just brutal, man.
But that's almost why it's more concerning, Ross. This team is finally in a position where they're playing games that matter, and you get shut out in 2 enormous games, especially one up against a division rival.
Yeah.
That
if they didn't come back against Boston, I'd be more concerned that this team just doesn't have the it factor. But for them to score twice in the last 3 minutes like they did, like they've shown they can do it. And I don't know how much of an excuse I'm leaning on, but yeah, because there are no excuses. But when you don't have all the guys that are out of the lineup for this, like Allmark's been out for more than a month.
Yeah, but
they're not scoring.
Yeah, but we can't point at the Allmark injury as the issue, right?
No, but Allmark injury plus no goal scoring plus a brutal power play, 30th in the National Hockey League in January. Like the fact they're still in the mix is a miracle.
Definitely, yeah, and normally I would be on your side of the glass half of water. I would be on the glass half full, but I'm worried about being glass half empty here, Ross, because like this is all the more reason why they need to find ways to figure it out. Because if you can't see the magnitude of these games that you're playing in and find ways to figure it out, then what's going to happen if they get to a point later on in the season where it's do or die and you decide your destiny, or if, let's hope, they get past the regular season and you have these critical games in playoff series. So, but the injuries, all the travel, like it all is relevant and it's a part of the story, but it's tough to decide whether you are optimistic or pessimistic about the way this is looking right now for the Sens.
15 of the Senators' last 20 games were on the road. Could you imagine this Senators team last year having that? They would have gone 1-14.
Yeah, definitely. It would have been an absolute gong show.
So with that, now the Senators are coming home for a 4-game homestand. You've got Toronto coming in on, well, Saturday, tomorrow night. Then you have the Utah Hockey Club on Sunday. 3 days off at home. Practice, recover,
Yep.
get ready for Thursday where the Washington Capitals come back to town. And then the Minnesota Wild are here next Saturday, February 1st. So that is your real opportunity here to go 3-0-1, to get points, get back in the mix in the standings. Senators are 3-1-1 in their last 5 home games during the last 20 games where they've had 15 on the road. So you need to take advantage of this 4-game homestand. Then you go out on the road for 4 games before the international break. You've got a back-to-back at Nashville, at Tampa, at Tampa again on Thursday, and then against the Florida Panthers on the road on Saturday night. So these next 8 games, I'm not saying they're going to make or break the season, but you're going to set yourself up for where you are on the hierarchy going into that break. You've got to score at least 3 goals a game. No, like you have to figure out a way to
Let's
score
start
goals.
with 1 goal a game, Ross. But I think the emphasis of the point in this schedule is key, Ross, because I think with the unnatural break of the 4 nations face-off, we're going to have 2 trade deadlines. I think teams will take a look at where they are at the 4 nations and decide, hey, let's get ahead of the market and either boost ourselves for playoffs or start selling off and tanking even more. And then you'll have, like Pittsburgh might do that. I mean, Chicago is talking about a lot of different things. So you'll have teams that are trying to beat the deadline market and they'll make their decisions. And then you'll have a second time with the actual deadline where teams will make desperation moves or just flush guys out with expiring deals just to get something in return. So that'll be interesting to see how that shapes out for a lot of different teams.
No update on Nick Jensen. With Jake Sanderson, they hope that he will play tomorrow night against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So we're just going to leave the Sens lines as is. We won't touch on them too much here. You can follow us at Sens Central after the morning skate tomorrow for what we expect the Sens will do. On the other side, the Toronto Maple Leafs, they come in off a disappointing loss for them against the Columbus Blue Jackets where they dominated the game, but they could not produce a result. So they've had a few days off since then. They've been off Thursday, Friday, and now they'll take on the Senators on Saturday night. We expect them to line up as follows. Austin Matthews at center between Matthew Nyes, who although he did leave the game on against Columbus, so we'll see if he's in the lineup. There's a little asterisk there on our graphic. And Mitch Marner on the right side. Second line, Pontus Holmberg between Bobby McMahon and William Nylander. The third line, Fraser Minton with Max Domi and Nick Robertson. And the fourth line, David Kampf with Steven Lorentz and Ryan Reeves. On the back end, Morgan Riley with Jake McCabe. Oliver Ekman-Larsson with Chris Tanev. Simon Benoit with Connor Timmins. And Pilsy. Joseph Woll could be potentially the starter. Or Matt Murray has been called up. There is no world where the Senators get shut out in back-to-back games by Korpisalo and Matt Murray, right?
Oh,
right?
My God, it would be so depressing for Ottawa Senators fans. Ross, my most hated player in the league. Unfortunately, I have to look out for him. Number 16, Mitch Marner. Oh, my God, this guy drives me nuts. But, man, is he a good hockey player. In the last 5 games, he has 8 points. He was on a 4-game point streak before, no points up against the Columbus Blue Jackets in that loss. And he has success up against the Ottawa Senators, unfortunately. In 36 games up against the Sens, he has 13 goals, 26 assists for 39 points. Only up against the Boston Bruins does he have more career points than the Ottawa Senators. So this guy enjoys playing the Sens, and he usually lights it up, much to my dismay. So I'm going to be looking out for number 16, Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to go anywhere else but Austin Matthews. The stats against Ottawa are astounding, and he dominates a lot of teams, but 47 points in 33 games for Austin Matthews against Ottawa, including 24 goals. 24 goals is the second most he has against any other team. He has 28 goals in 36 games against the Montreal Canadiens. So Austin Matthews will be coming to play for that game, and he's going to carry a lot of the load because John Tavares got injured in practice a couple weeks ago. He's unavailable. So as you can see, their center depth is pretty limited down the middle.
Yeah, and they've got injury problems too, Ross. And that's the thing. I think sometimes you're so focused on your team, you get the woe is me, but no Stolars, no Tavares, no Pacioretty. I mean, obviously other guys like Yarncroc and Hakanpää, not a big deal, but still injuries, and then possibly Matthew Nyes. Like you can look at injuries as reasons why the team can struggle, but it can't be a constant excuse when other teams are dealing with injuries and finding ways to win.
So the Leafs have actually been a bit of a roller coaster themselves. They won 5 in a row, then they lost 3 in a row, then they won 3 in a row, and now they're coming off a 5-1 loss on Wednesday where they outshot Columbus 29-19, but still were not able to figure it out. Ottawa, though, it's all about them. Like, you got to get the power play going, and the Leafs PK has actually been brutal. They actually didn't give up a penalty, or a power play rather, in the game against Columbus, none. But in their 4 previous games, they've allowed 6 power play goals against. Their PK is clicking just over 50% in the last 5 games. So
yeah, but Boston had a bad PK too in the game before the Sens. They allowed 3 on 7 against the Devils, and then they're able to shut out the Sens on 4 opportunities. So
that's what I'm saying. It's all about the Ottawa Senators and what they're going to do. But that's just, I'll say the Matthews one is just a stat. My lookout player is going to be Chris Tanev. Obviously, we were very much on the, man, this guy would be a good fit pretty much wherever he goes. He's a warrior, defensive-minded defenseman. So Ottawa's forwards are going to have to be aware when he's on the ice. That pair with him and Oliver Ekman-Larsson has a ton of experience. So Ottawa's got to be able to push the pace when those two are out there. They're both great players, but not the most agile skaters, both like 34, 35 years old. Ottawa's youth has to be able to skate circles around them. And if they can't, it could be a long night. But Ottawa always might be a stretch, but usually comes up to play against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm hoping we get a good game, a one where the fans that are wearing blue at the CTC leave early, beat the traffic, all that noise. It's a huge game for the Ottawa Senators, so hopefully they come to play.
yeah, we need it, Ross. I don't know. Like, it's going to be a sad postcast if the Ottawa Senators fall flat in this one. But it's a huge bounce back opportunity, especially then you got the Utah Hockey Club, who obviously is not like a Stanley Cup contender, but they have been playing better as of late. And we saw them earlier this year, the first time playing in Salt Lake City, and we don't know what their goal horn sounds like. So hopefully the Sens can flip the script and shut them out once again.
Ottawa has won 4 of the last 5 head-to-head meetings against the Toronto Maple Leafs, Pilsy.
They do seem to step it up when the Leafs are their opponent, but I just, man, it's a fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times with the Sens trying to step up in big emotional games, and I am officially nervous about this game.
And we will be up until puck drop, 7 o'clock on Saturday. We will have the postcast for you after. Quick thought on the Utah Hockey Club, who's playing in Winnipeg today. Kind of a weird Western Conference scheduling quirk where typically Utah would come and do Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto. And I say typically like they've ever had a season before, but that part of the world coming to the Eastern Conference. But their road trip is Minnesota, Winnipeg, Ottawa, and then flying home. So that's a long way for them to come for this game. They do play in Winnipeg tonight, so we won't obviously know what kind of streak they're on after, but they have won 3 in a row and some pretty impressive wins in there as well, beating the Winnipeg Jets 5-2 and then shutting out the Minnesota Wild 4-0. That game against Winnipeg was at home. They're in Winnipeg tonight, so 2 games quickly against the Jets. So they also beat the St. Louis Blues 4-2, but they had lost 3 in a row before that. So they're a team that's trying to figure out who they are. They've still got a lot of young talent. They're 21-19-7 on the season. So they're trying to get back into a playoff hunt. They've got 49 points on the season. They're 6th in the Central Division. So quick thought on what to expect from them on Sunday.
Yeah, just a quick thought on Utah is this is a team. I mean, Logan Cooley has officially arrived, 42 points in 47 games. But this is a team where their forward lineups, Ross, they just stack the top line. Their top line is Clayton Keller, Logan Cooley, and Nick Schmaltz, obviously the top 3 point getters for the hockey club. And then Dylan Genther is injured. He's 4th on the team. And then the next point leader for forwards for Utah is Barrett Hayton with 25 points and 47. So my key to victory for the Sens up against the hockey club, shut down that first line, and then you should be able to have success up against the other 3 forward lines, because they've decided their way to success is to lean on those top guys, put them all together and overload it. So you got to find ways to have your depth outperform theirs.
You have to. That'll be Sunday's game. Senators, though, with a big test between now and then. We'll see how they answer the bell tomorrow against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know the fan base is very antsy and needing some offensive production and needing the team to figure out the power play. Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Yes, final thoughts for me is the Ottawa Senators have agreed to a professional tryout with veteran player Sam Gagner for the Belleville Senators. He is slated to start in tonight's game for the Belleville Senators. This guy is a true journeyman in the NHL, 35 years old. He can play center, he can play the wing, and last year he actually had some decent success in 28 games with the Edmonton Oilers, 10 goals, and then he spent 15 games with the Bakersfield Condors in the AHL and had 9 points in 15 games. So I don't think we're looking at this as a guy that's going to come in and really make an impact in the NHL, but with the amount of injuries that Ottawa has and them basically plucking almost every single talented player from Belleville Senators lineup and injuries in Belleville as well, this is a much needed boost for them, and I'm hoping all the best for Gagner.
Yeah, and not only that, but apparently just one of the good leaders and great guys in the NHL. So he's 35 years old. He's just coming off the Spengler Cup, where he's the captain for Team Canada. Had 1 assist in 3 games there. But I think he'll be able to produce at the AHL level, at least keep them above water, while Ottawa has half of Belleville's lineup up right now. He's expected to play in tonight's game, so we'll be following that very closely. So congratulations, Sam Gagner, getting that PTO, and congrats on the Sens for helping out Belleville a little bit. They're on a slide, and they could use a guy like Sam Gagner to help out. Obviously, he's not 8-point Sam Gagner. By the way, Sam Gagner with the most points in an NHL game in the last 30 years in 2012. So we're going back 13 years still, but 8 points in a game, that's absolutely sick.
Yeah, that's double absolutely sick.
All right, that's it for us today. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and engaging with the show on all social media platforms. We are free and available on YouTube as well. We will be back tomorrow in the postcast. We are on this enormous stretch where it's the 3rd weekend back-to-back right now. So we are your team every day. We appreciate you so much. If you like the show, please subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend, and make sure to leave a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform and your least favorite. Just do it everywhere. Help the show. It helps us. We do really, really appreciate each and every one of the citizens. Last night's postcast available everywhere. We had Jamie, great boots on the ground report. So if you're looking for more, you can find us there. For today, we say goodbye, though. That's Brandon Piller. I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.